Hey everybody, my time here in Ireland is almost done, so I thought I'd take you on a little walkabout around the yard, show you some of the things that I managed to get done. It's definitely far from perfect, but every little bit counts, and like any garden project, you check certain things off the list and new things get added every time, and eventually you're happy with the results. And I am happy with what I did get done, and so I'm going to just kind of share a couple of my successes with you. So here's a look. I'll start here on the gate. Definitely next visit, I hope I can get a power washer and get this gate cleaned up. A lot of the walls are looking kind of rough. Escallonia, I did clean up behind them. So there's a lot more air movement. There's gonna be a lot more light. I think they're gonna really love that. And I'm happy with this gap here that not only is there new growth here, but there's also some new growth down there of Escallonia. So this gap is gonna get filled. So I'm happy about that. Did a little cleanup over here. I didn't do much cleanup here along the rock wall, but I do really like how the heather is filling in. I have a feeling eventually I'm going to be pulling those rose bushes out. That's what's here, and just letting the heather just keep growing because it's growing really nicely. And then down here, and I did tuck in a couple other bits of heather here. This is a beautiful white one. It has white flowers, and I just think it'll look kind of nice. So I have kind of an assortment there. Eventually this spirea is probably going to go. It just can't keep up with the grass that's growing in there and the moisture, so we'll probably replace those at some point. The wild roses I trimmed back. I just want to get those a little bit fuller, and you might not realize this, wild roses are somewhat, they can be invasive if you're not careful. I planted that one over at the top, and then I've been just taking cuttings and just sticking them in, usually the softer cuttings. You can see there's these hard areas, and then there's softer ones, and there's even usually some green ones, and I just kind of take the softer ones and I'll just stick them in the ground, and they just kind of bounce back and grow. So these other ones down here, if I wanted to, I could kind of continue this all the way down. Not sure I want to go commit that much to the wild roses, but they're just pretty easy here. Nothing new to report over here since I did my last video. I probably will cut back some of these kind of stems that are growing off the rose. I could weave them back in either way. I don't want them kind of growing outwards anyway. And then also they do trigger the doorbell camera when they get caught in the wind, so I want to get that done. I did end up planting out this climbing hydrangea into the ground instead of into the barrel that it was in. I just feel like it'll do better in the ground than in that barrel, so I want to give that a go, see what'll happen. If it doesn't work, I can always pull it out, and plus that barrel was really discoloring the walls, so not that the plant might do the same thing, but at least I'm going to try this and see how it goes. Along this low rock wall, I did kind of pull back some of the grass that was on this side just because my neighbor had given me some beautiful bluebells from her family farm, and I planted them right in here. So every spring they come up, they look great. They would survive here in the grass, but I'd like them to be kind of, able to really thrive in that spot. I'm also very, very pleased that my boxwood hedge is out and I've got this euonymus in here. It just, knowing that boxwood blight is out is just a real relief. I'm happy with the edging. We'll see how it holds up over the next couple years, because I think that's going to be the real test of how it does. And I never did get through and trim back some of these kind of wonky branches on the euonymus, but they're going to be fine whether I do it or not. I wish I would have gotten over around that hawthorn tree, some of the grass pulled out, because there's a bunch of daffodils, but I think the daffodils are still going to come up because that grass is going to die back. This over here was the big job, getting this all kind of cleaned out. Took a lot of effort, but I'm happy with how it is. Really gives me kind of a sense of what it looks like. Again, it's going to make it so I can kind of get back in here. I kind of was meaning to trim back the ivy, but I didn't get to it, so I can always do that later. That's no big deal. And ivy is one of those plants where whatever I cut off, I can just stick it somewhere else and it usually roots. And then here's where I put in 2 Annabelle hydrangeas. Just going to try them here, see how they do. Hopefully the grass doesn't overtake them. They're usually pretty durable and able to kind of keep up against other plants. So we'll see how that goes. And then, yeah, I kind of showed you the stuff over here. I trimmed back, I have some wild roses. I left one untrimmed. These other 2 are older, and so I trimmed those back. And, I like to be able to kind of also compare the trimmed versus the untrimmed, just see if I prefer one way or the other. I've got a lot of debris in here, which I should remove, but I don't have the time or the energy, so I'm just going to hold off on that. My boxwood hedge up above, still looking good. I don't really see signs of blight, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. At some point I may end up having to replace it, but it's looking really good, so I'm optimistic right now. I was planning to trim back this hornbeam hedge, but then I did a little research and they said like beech and hornbeam and plants like that really shouldn't be trimmed after the leaves start to change color, and September is kind of the best time. And it probably would be fine if I did trim it back, but I decided I'm gonna just wait and do it, you know, when it's, you know, in growing mode rather than when it's starting to go dormant. But I did cut back some over here, and I did that because this is the end that was kind of growing out of control. So I thought, you know what, not a big deal. If I try this, hopefully, you know, it bounces right back, and you know, it's not gonna tear back the whole hedge or anything like that. I took out one of the cypress over there just because I wanted to give that hornbeam more room. I prefer the hornbeam, you know, it's a little bit more unusual, a little bit more interesting. So in the back side of that cypress, I got kind of a view of what it looks like when they grow together and how they kind of turn black and brown. So it's not a, you know, great hedging plant. Eventually I have a feeling this might be changed out just because the wind and everything and the way these grow, they're just kind of wonky. And so I didn't do a hard prune. Like I could hedge them so that they're nice and flat across the top, but I just tidied them up just for now. It's kind of a temporary fix. Down over here, I think it was either a dogwood or a viburnum, so I just trimmed that back. I don't remember. It's this one here, so I don't, you know, I'm not sure what the story is on that one, but I thought I'll trim it back. This one is the same thing. I think it's the same plant as that one. This one was getting really huge. I figure, you know, I'll give it a try. Not going to hurt if, you know, if this one goes away, you know, it'll be fine, but I hope it does, you know, pretty well. But it gets really sturdy stems, so we'll see how that plays out. Trim back these roses. I want these to be able to grow back, but I was testing just a couple of the old branches, just leaving them up just to see, you know, how they do and how these in front do. So we'll see how that goes. Left the currants on their own, another rose that I trimmed back, and then I was meaning to trim this one here, but I never got to it. That'll be fine. I did plant some daffodils over here, so right here in front of this window, there's some daffodils tucked in there. I did plant some other daffodils. We went to the cemetery where Liam's family is and put some daffodils around the grave there. So I did film a video there, but the sound was kind of bad for the intro, so I'll just play that right now just so you can see us in action and see the little tool that we bought to plant the bulbs. We thought it'd be a really great idea. I'll show you what it looks like at the end. So we got those planted without incident. Well, I shouldn't say that. Get one of the old-fashioned kind of these, because these special ones that are spring-loaded, they don't really hold up very well. So not the best choice. But anyway, I'm happy we were able to do that and show some respect for Liam's relatives and some of the other people that we know down here. And hey, I'll talk to you guys all very, very soon. So that is the state of affairs right now. It is right at the end of October, almost November. So things, you know, have kind of starting to die back and get a little more winter ready. Unfortunately, my yard is ready for when I get back. I can plot on with some more projects. But thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for all your encouragement, and been a lot of comments about me wearing knee pads, and they are on my Christmas list. I spent a lot of time kneeling on gravel this trip, and my knees are actually bruised from the gravel, which is kind of crazy. I've never had that happen before, so they're a little tender, but I'll be getting some knee pads hopefully, you know, for next time. And then otherwise, hey, everything's been going great. It's been a wonderful trip. Thanks for coming along with me. And if you haven't seen all the other videos, I do have a playlist. I'll put a link to it in the description, so you can always watch that if you want to see, you know, all the different projects that I did while I was here this trip. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll talk to you back in America.